We've all experienced the frustration of misplacing our keys, phones, or other little items. Some people may have even misplaced their vehicle after a night out or in a sizable parking garage. These brief misplacements, however, are scarcely mysteries. A huge or hefty thing should be challenging to lose, according to common sense. History has a different story to tell, as it frequently does. Even the most intelligent people, including scientists and security services, have seen enormous things suddenly vanish right under their noses. Here are substantial items that have vanished without a trace. 10. Shipwrecks. During the Second World War, fighting between the Allies and the Japanese left hundreds of shipwrecks in the seas surrounding Southeast Asian countries, including Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia. One such conflict was the Battle of the Java Sea on February 27, 1942, off the coast of Indonesia, which was commanded by the Dutch. In total, 14 ships were involved, but only 2 would survive. Divers found the wrecks in 2002. However, 2 of the Netherlands shipwrecks were reported missing in 2016. On the seafloor, only their impressions were visible. Although there is evidence of unauthorized salvage on nearby shipwrecks, experts claim that relocating 2 ships completely would be very difficult due to their depth. Any attempt would also be unlikely to go unnoticed due to the magnitude of the equipment required and the amount of time it would take. Prior to the 75th anniversary of the conflict, an expedition made the finding. The Indonesian Navy agreed to do additional research. 9. A sea data station. German scientists said the data it gave them was invaluable, despite the fact that it only cost 300,000 euros to build, possibly less than you might anticipate for what is effectively an underwater observatory. Imagine their shock when they stopped receiving environmental data from their expensive equipment on August 21, 2019. All that was discovered when divers went to check on it was a torn electrical cable. The 2016 data station was supposed to be 72 feet underground in a restricted region close to the Danish border. However, it was not there. The security is so tight that local fishermen aren't even permitted in the region, which further adds to the mystery surrounding the disappearance. Because of the station's weight, the scientists were able to rule out the involvement of the tide, wildlife, and storms in the disappearance. All they had was a call to witnesses asking them to report any unusual behavior or equipment found on adjacent beaches. 8. An army. There are a lot of unresolved and unanswerable issues about the ancient world, and many of them have to do with the strange dispersal of armies. The Roman army's 9th Legion serves as one illustration. The 9th Legion, stationed in Britain, was made up of about 5,000 of the best warriors in all of ancient Rome. It appears they were having some difficulty managing the local British, though Romans were so shaken by uprisings during the early half of Emperor Hadrian's reign that the emperor had to travel there. In doing so, he designed the well-known wall that now bears his name and separates Scotland from England. About the 9th Legion, the prevailing myth holds that they were vanquished by a motley army of rebels in an underdog story that later served as the basis for a book and a motion picture. Although many historians disagree, for a while it was widely accepted that the Legion's absence from Britain was simply due to its deployment to the Middle East. But, as others have noted, there is little evidence to support this, making the first argument more tenable. The disappearance of the 9th remains a mystery in the absence of new archaeological evidence. 7. Boulders. One of the quirks of Victorian culture in Britain entailed dressing up in your best clothes to get a picture of your family with some stones. The erratic boulders were dispersed over Birmingham and were ice period artifacts that were 450,000 years old. The boulders piqued people's curiosity, and in the 1,800 seconds they became the focus of intense scientific investigation as people started to wonder where the rocks came from. Moreover, half of the 200 boulders have disappeared since 1890, when scientists first plotted their locations on a map. The Roheath boulder, which is unusually huge and measured 8x5x3 feet, is one among them. Since it was last captured on camera in 1923, its whereabouts have remained a mystery. 6. A star. The star in the Kinman Dwarf Galaxy in 2019 was unquestionably the biggest object ever lost. It was so enormous that scientists referred to it as a monster star, around 2.5 million times as brilliant as our sun. It gleamed. Astronomers paid close attention to it between 2001 and 2011 because it was large, unstable, and thought to be in the latter stages of evolution. As the star approached the conclusion of its cycle, it was ejecting enormous amounts of mass, and experts predicted a supernova explosion was just around the corner. This prompted a Dublin, Ireland-based research team to pay attention to it in 2019 since they were interested in learning more about how famous people act in their final years. just after the star was only lost to sight when they turned on their telescopes. Two theories have been put out to explain the unexpected development. First, it's possible that the star has dimmed and grown dusty over time. The star's collapse into a black hole without a supernova explosion is the second, and more scientifically significant, explanation. If so, it would mark the first time a star has ever died in this manner. If you are enjoying the video so far, do well by clicking the subscribe button. Leave a like and comment. 5. A 33-foot-tall mango. The Australian municipality of Bowen built a huge mango statue in 2002 to honor their renowned local produce. The statue was 33 feet tall and 7 tons in weight. The community regarded itself as Australia's mango capital. Imagine their amazement. Therefore, when the nice citizens of the village awoke 12 years later to discover that their beloved fruit monument was vanished, unsurprisingly, there was a ton of speculation on social media. In order to put together a massive fruit salad, some people believed the criminals would also steal the large pineapple and banana from other villages along the shoreline. Others were less certain about the facts, noting that no police report had been made and that the Bowen Huge Mango's Facebook page had only been started that morning. The following day, it was found to be a PR gimmick for the Nando's restaurant chain, confirming the latter's concerns. 4. Stan the T-Rex. An astonishingly rare, nearly complete T-Rex skeleton known as Stan was auctioned off in October 2020 and sold to an unidentified buyer for a staggering $31.8 million. Stan was being sold as a result of a court issue. He had first been discovered in South Dakota in the early 1990s. Dinosaur enthusiasts were worried about the anonymous purchaser, though, because he delayed restoring the fossil to the public's view. Stan's high price tag had some paleontologists fearful that he would be imprisoned and that more fossils would be sold to private buyers, making them inaccessible for research. Yet almost 2 years later, it was revealed that Stan's new residence will be the Natural History Museum Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates. 3. $10 million in silver. You would assume that businesses hauling goods of this high worth would exercise greater caution than to leave them unattended in the parking lot of a dilapidated warehouse. You would be mistaken. When the silver vanished, it was traveling from South Korea to New York via Canada. Even 3 years after the robbery in 2019, there has been a lot of finger-pointing because several companies were engaged in delivering the precious metal. The puzzle centers on the passcode required to remove the 39,683-pound cargo from a gated rail yard. The code was eventually decoded by criminals, who then instructed a courier company to deliver the silver to the warehouse rather than the real owner by sending false pickup instructions. Later, small amounts of the silver were discovered in Massachusetts and British Columbia. The location of the remaining individuals is still unknown. 2. A Boeing 727. Even while a plane disappearing is not particularly unusual, it is extraordinary when a huge commercial jet disappears and the FBI, CIA, US Departments of State, and Homeland Security are still baffled almost 2 decades later. A flight engineer and his recently hired assistant were reportedly on board the jet in Angola in May 2003 when it abruptly took off and refused to contact with air traffic controllers. It is unclear who was piloting the aircraft because the engineer only holds a private pilot certificate. As the jet was carrying fuel to diamond mines rather than people, at first there were concerns that it might be used as a bomb, but the plane just disappeared. Consequently, everyone anticipated the worst. But despite extensive investigations and searches of adjacent nations, no crash-related evidence was ever discovered. The lost aircraft and its crew were not found. 1. Nuclear bombs. Bombs, yes, plural. In addition to the Soviet Union losing multiple nuclear weapons during the Cold War, the United States has lost at least 3 nuclear weapons. All of these are supposed to be deep in the ocean, despite the fact that their positions are known. Instead of being seized by nefarious operatives, the bombs were lost due to human mistake or the malfunction of the vehicles conveying them. But if that doesn't help you feel better, remember that the American military has deemed its missing bombs irretrievable despite having access to all of its resources. This is due to the ineffectiveness of ocean searches, particularly since that the bombs are most likely buried far beneath the seabed. In addition, if they try to recover them, they incur the risk of unintentional detonation. It is unlikely that anyone else will be able to recover them if they cannot. Thank you so much for watching this video about 10 ludicrously large things humans have lost. If you enjoyed this content and want to see more videos like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any future uploads. By subscribing to this channel, you'll be joining a community of curious minds who love exploring the world's most fascinating stories and discoveries. Hit the subscribe button now and let's continue exploring the wonders of our world together.